We are diving right into the deep end to start off the first round of the most exciting Elestriad season yet. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss out on any of the action. What's up, my Nimbugs and Elestriad faithful? My name is Swolax, and I'll be the voice inside of your head commentating over today's epic clash between Season 1 Elestriad winner DistantCoder and new blood to the Pantheon, Hazy Sage. Both casters picked up a wallop of an element to start off this season, with Coder devoting himself to Aeolus and the Wind Pantheon, while Hazy fancied themselves driving behind Zeus and the powerful Thunder element. To see what everyone pledged to and also to make some predictions on this season, you can ask your parents' permission before going online to Elestriad.com. There you can check out the current standings as well as other Elestriad goodness. Speaking of what's good, Coder, what'd you happen to bring today against the Thunder Pantheon and Hazy Sage?
What's up, gamers? It's your boy Coder back for Season 3 of the Elestriad, and I'm playing Wind. Not my first choice, nor my second, nor my third, but it is the cards that I have been dealt, and I think I've built something that works, I think, hopefully. So the deck is a twist on something that me and the Knots built not too long ago for an actual tournament for Constructed. So I just like adjusted it to like fit the Wind. So it'll look kind of familiar, but I'm playing Verituka. Shout out to Swolax. This is a 3. We like 3s. I'm playing 3 Nemisail, 2 Toxic Swarm, and 2 Exaltair, as well as a Galaxair for my Wind package. And then I'm playing 3 Astrabbit, 3 Quackle, and 3 Boombat. So if you haven't caught on immediately, this is basically heal stall. Like, kind of heal stall, but the idea of the deck, right, is to out-heal the resources that my opponent is putting in to play the game. So that's why I'm on the Quackle and the Nemisail. Basically, I'm replacing what the normal water package is for the heal stall deck with wind stuff. So, like, the Veritukas let you out stuff, so it's a removal spell, essentially, to, like, you know, circumvent for the fact that we only have 1 Earthquake, 1 Resting. And then we have the 3 Nemisail, and then these are, like, burn cards that help you close out the game. And Galaxair is just based like a 4th copy of Verituka that also is able to walk over Astrabbit. Maybe I should play more of this, but I think 1 is, like, probably fine. It's probably okay. And that's all the guys that I'm running. It's a lot of guys, but in a deck like this, it's fine. I'm playing 3 copies of Aeolus because searching the guys is good. I'm playing 3 copies of Ambro, 3 copies of Nog because we want consistency. And then removal spells, I'm playing 3 Cryoblast, 1 Earthquake, 1 Resting, just because removal spells are really good, especially because they're the only way that I have to clear an Astrabbit on my opponent's board. And then to close it out, our counter runes, I'm only playing 6. I'm playing 3 PTA, 3 Shield, because this deck doesn't really need counter runes. You can just kind of get by without them. You just, like, slap a guy on the board, attack a thing, remove a thing, and then pass, or, like, heal some shit and then pass. Because they have to constantly be putting in more resources than you into, like, outing your stuff. So you activating this is kind of counterintuitive to the strategy, but, like, you need PTAs because more ways of outing Astrabbits, and that's about it. And then after that, for the Spirit deck, I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Wind. I'm playing 5 Thunder, 2 Frost, 2 Earth, so that I can resolve all my tech cards. And for the side deck, I'm not playing 1. I don't need it. It's fine. The deck is perfect. It doesn't need a side deck. I'll be honest, I don't know what I would side, which is why I decided, you know, screw it. I just will not play a side deck. It'll be fine. The deck will do what it needs to do. So with that being said, this is Wind, heal, stall, burn stuff. So good luck to my opponent, and here's hoping we can squeeze out a win with this. Good luck to you, buddy.
This is such an interesting deck from Coder. If you do not know, Coder is kind of doing a play on heal stall, which inside of constructed format inside of Elestrals did historically perform pretty well. I'm curious to see how cards like Quackle are going to perform inside of this strategy, considering that the Thunder deck that Hazy is also bringing might be rocking up with cards like Mount Olympus and Race to the Top, which could be an actual detriment to this Wind strategy. But I'm also curious to see how cards like Exaltair and Nemisail play together inside of DistantCoder's deck, allowing this interesting Nexus loop, allowing DistantCoder to heal while also burning Hazy Sage for 2 spirit damage each turn. But out with the old and in with the new, we've seen what the Wind Pantheon is bringing today. Hazy, what are you bringing for the Thunder Pantheon in today's clash?
What's going on, everybody? My name is Hazy, or you can call me Hazy Sage. I'm here, Elestriad Season 3. I'm honored to be a part of it. Thank you to the Elestrals team for inviting Riley and I, or the TCGDome, to be here. We are so excited, and our first match is against the one and only DistantCoder with the Wind Pantheon. A little nervous to be playing against him. Obviously, he's an established player. He's very, very good. And Wind has a lot of different strategies that could come my way. So I built the best Thunder deck that I could build, and I'm here to show you guys right now. So starting out, I have 3 copies of Elechick. And the reason being is because I'm running 2 copies of Zeus. The Thunder Divine is such a good card. Being able to keep Spirits on for Nexus, as well as being able to disenchant, target, and -3/-3 an opponent's Elestral, means that if I have multiple Elestrals on the board, then I can swing for one. If that gets stopped, I can swing with the other one. Just allows me to have more advantage. Next, I am running 3 copies of Jolton. Along with Jolton, I am running 2 Mount Olympus, and one of the new favored removal cards, Race to the Top. I say new, this was in Frostfall, but it is now going to be seen more considering that Earthquake and Rusting Interwars are down to 2, or 1 each. Next, I am running 2 copies of Toxeon. I am running 3 copies of Ash Rabbit, and I'm also running 2 copies of Quackle. The extra regen is really going to help, especially when I'm in a pinch, and healing has proven to be really, really good in the past couple tournaments, so I think the addition of Quackle to this deck is necessary. But I'm not done there with Elestrals. I do have 2 copies of Eddy to get around anything with high defense. Also, it has a Water Spirit in case Coder is running Tsunami, so having that playthrough on the board is going to be really important if that comes up. But to finish off my Elestrals, I do have 2 copies of Arcolith, aka Uncolith. This boy is going to be an MVP if I see him. I'm going to need to see him every day, or every game, so I can hit for as much as possible in case my opponent is healing more than me. But that's going to wrap up most of the Elestrals and some of the support runes that go with the Elestral packages. I'm going to get right into the runes here, and then shortly I will get into my side and my Spirit deck. For my runes, I am of course running the 1 copy of Earthquake and the 1 copy of Resting on Your Laurels. I'm maxing out on removal, and I'm going 3 copies of Cryoblast. I am also going 2 copies of Ambrosia. I decided to go down to 2 instead of having 3 and maxing out because I wanted to max out on removal, and I ended up taking out 2 shields, and I ended up taking out 1 Ambrosia to fit these Cryoblasts in to make sure that I can contain as much board state as possible with this cheap removal spell that can take out most Elestrals in this game. Then I am running 3 copies of PTA, 3 copies of Alter, and I am also running 3 copies of Gorgon's Gaze to finish off my 40-card deck. Let's see what this can do. I think it's going to perform well. Thunder is a very, very strong element, but again, I am playing a tough opponent, so we will do our best. For the I'll go the Spirit deck. For the Spirit deck, I am running, of course, the 2 Terratlas for the Earthquake. I'm running 2 Waters for the Eddies, or if I want to misenchant another Elestral. I am running 1 Owloon, and if you've noticed, I have no lunar cards in my main deck. I have 3 copies of Dense Fog in my side in case I want to side that in, and I'm just running so many Zaptors that I figured I could take out 1 Zaptor to make room for this, to make room for something more important in my side deck. I'm running 2 Fluoromines for the Cryoblast, and then that should make 13 Zaptors. Just gonna throw them on the table. 13 Zaptors, that's going to finish out my Spirit deck. Of course, you guys have probably just seen this sitting on the table. I've got 1 Arcolith. I'm running the 3 copies of Dense Fog. I have 1 extra Eddy. I do have 2 Shield. I am also running 2 Thunderstorms since I have the extra Thunder regeneration. I figure having this with Arcolith, Quackle, and Ambrosia, I should be able to resolve these if a rune could be pretty detrimental to my game plan. Just take it out before I even need to deal with it. Then I'm running 2 copies of Aeromare in case Coder is on position control. If that is the case, then this guy can get around everything that he has to bring. If he switches this with Eddy, then he goes to a 4 attack. Eddy has to crash. If he switches this with Swordlet, he can't because it's wind enchanted. That brings me, I do have one extra wind, or I have one soul wind in my side deck in case he is playing Sorlet. This will just be a really good card to ensure that he can't get over my high defense cards. Also running 2 copies of Boombat, and to finish off my side deck, I've got one more Ambrosia in case I need the extra heal regeneration. So, that's going to finish it off. I will see you guys in the clash. Wish us luck, and thanks again for inviting me.
Hazy's deck looks pretty familiar as a Thundercaster myself at one point in time. I love the addition of cards like Cryoblast, as I think that's going to be pretty useful against Coder strategy. A lot of the win cards only have 2 and below defense, which Cryoblast should take care of quite nicely. I also love Arcalith, the powerful Thunder Elestral. This card's going to be really nice to re-enchant cards on Hazy's side of the field, as well as some punch in for some big damage if necessary. So, curious to see how this clash is going to go down. And if you guys want to pick up any of the new cards that these casters are bringing to the clash, then you can head over to shopelestrals.com and pick up the latest and greatest inside of Daybreak. No need to ask your parents' permission. They've already placed their order, and now it's your turn. Or rather, it's Hazy's turn as he's going to start off today's clash going first. He's going to start off this clash with a nice tried and true Rabbit in defense position, one of the best Elestrals to start off with as it allows you to gain some early advantage, but also particularly in the Thunder deck, it's going to allow you to set up for some potential Alter the Stars plays, as well as a big body to help out with your race to the top on the following turn. He's going to go ahead and set 2 cards face down and pass it back over to DistantCoder. DistantCoder's going to draw for turn. You know, options that they have available to them. Can drop down the Nectar of the Gods. Go ahead and run the animation here. Drink up, Zeus. You'll have a good time with this one. Trading in those 2 spirits for 2 cards off the top of the deck. Hopefully they fare well into this Rabbit. That big body's gonna be hard to get over, but not for Galaxair, one of my favorite cards inside of the Wind deck, allowing you to swap the attack and defense of an Elestral, allowing this Rabbit to go down quite easily. But Poison Tipped Arrow is going to be hitting the field here. Galaxair is going to be reduced down to a 2 attacker, which is not going to be able to get over this Ash Rabbit, but Earthquake coming in. The one of Earthquake from DistantCoder here. That's a lot of spirits, but maybe that's just enough that you need to close the gap, ensuring that Galaxy is going to swing in for 1 damage here, and this Poison Tipped Arrow is going to feel a little bit worse to fire off if you're Hazy. Gonna go ahead and take the spirits there and expend for the PTA to destroy the Galaxair. A lot of animations already being shown here. The editors got their work cut out for them. Passing back to Hazy here, the TCGDome for the Thunder Pantheon. Gonna draw off the top. And we're gonna see coming down, it's another Rabbit. It's going to be an Elechick. Excellent position here if you're Hazy here, because if it's a Gorgon's Gaze or a Poison Tipped Arrow, that doesn't feel particularly good, as if you're DistantCoder, you'd be down in spirits for almost no reason. Gonna search out that beautiful stone statue Zeus and swing in for just 1 damage, which DistantCoder is going to take. Gonna pass back DistantCoder here. 1 set, 1 Elechick on the board. What are we gonna see? But a Cryoblast come down. Massive removal from Coder off the start. Maybe trying to get a little bit of advantage and try to place Hazy on better habit with these Elestrals. But a Rabbit of DistantCoder's own. Gonna re-enchant, or gonna enchant that with a Thunder Spirit to look at the top 3 cards of the deck and pick one. Coder said, well, if you're playing Thunder, I'm playing Thunder too, but just one of the classic cards inside of this game. Rabbit's gonna go ahead and swing in for 1 damage onto Hazy here, taking 1 damage off the top. This Rabbit's gonna put in a little bit of work, potentially signaling a shield, a Poison Tipped Arrow, or some sort of response from DistantCoder. That Rabbit attack's not gonna really defend much. Hazy's gonna set 1 card face down. What's he gonna elect to do here? It looks like that Hazy is gonna go ahead and expend to draw, it looks like. Might be confirming this real quick. That is an expend to draw, it's gonna pass back to Coder. That means the tempo is now in Coder's favor. Aeolus comes down from DistantCoder. That is going to allow him to get some mad advantage here. Either a healer in the form of Nemesail or maybe potentially Exaltair. Aeolus gets enchanted. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4? Oh, he's gonna load up this card. Thinking about this though, DistantCoder is gonna go ahead and disenchant too. That's an expensive Aeolus. Look at that spirit differential. That is almost half. That is half. 14 to 7. Coder, you might be crazy. You better hope this works. Exaltair is going to be added to the hand. That's going to allow for this Nexus burn to start going. You don't feel too bad about this. So Exaltair is a really neat card from base set instead of Elestrals, allowing you to put some pressure on your opponent. Again, this card plays pretty well into counter runes, as Poison Tipped Arrow doesn't quite fix the issue, as you're still taking a ton of damage here. Gorgon's Gaze is also pretty fine, because once again, you're taking those 2 spirits anyways, so you might as well eat up an extra counter rune while you're at it. Both casters are going to be thinking here on what to do. Again, Coder Spirit difference is pretty low here considering, so maybe Hazy feels pretty good about firing off this Gorgon's Gaze. The Gaze is going to stop the Exaltair in the track, so you're burning those 2 spirits regardless. You might as well not take the extra 1 from the attack. I can respect it. Coder's going to go ahead and swing in with the rabbits. You're taking just an additional chip damage here. But now with the Exaltair backed up by 2 counter runes, that's a little bit scary. You do have to deal with this Exaltair now before it gets to be too big of an issue. You do not want the Nexus circle to be complete here, whether it be a Toxic Swarm or a Nemesail. Let's see what Hazy has. 2 spirits coming down. It's an Arcolith this early. Wow. Potentially what he was baiting there with an expend to draw, the Arcolith coming down, which again also plays very, very nicely into most counter runes. DistantCoder does not feel comfortable here activating things like Poison Tipped Arrow or a shield, as that's going to be quite expensive, bringing down that spirit count to just half. Let's see what happens here. Looks like that enchant 3 from the underworld is okay to go through. Those thunder spirits hitting the board and onto this big body Arcolith. What an insane play. I love Arcolith so much. Big bad Unk hitting the field. Looks like we're getting some spirit clarification here. And Hazy's got more to do, reaching for the spirit deck. A Frost Spirit coming down, and that's exactly what he needed. A Cryoblast of his own, hitting the Exaltair. Like I said, those 2 in 1 bodies from Wind can kind of go both ways. We saw the Cryoblast and the Earthquake here from DistantCoder in the removal, but looks like that's gonna be all she wrote for Exaltair and the Rabbit. Arcolith is going to do massive damage to DistantCoder, going from a pretty decent spirit count all the way to 2 to Hazy's 8. I better see a healer come off here, as well as this Arcolith cannot stay on the board for too much longer. Let's see what happens here. A Boom Bat! It's the clash of the Thunder Spirits. A little tiny Boom Bat into a big bad Arcolith. Only thing to stop this here would be a Gorgon's Gaze. We do see Hazy reaching for that back row. Gonna go ahead and disenchant from the Boom Bat. And there is the Gorgon's Gaze, number 2. And that's gonna be game 1, a swift game 1 for the Thunder Pantheon. Arcolith coming down can hit for insane damage. That was just a nice and clean victory for Thunder. I'm not exactly sure if this Wind Pantheon can do it with these weak guys. I guess we'll have to just wait and see. Game 2 starting off here. Looks like DistantCoder elects to go second, which is kind of an interesting play. I wonder if that has to do with the heal strategy. But a Toxion is going to close out that spirit differential. If you thought that the play here would be to have your opponent burn themselves, quote unquote, for 1 damage, well, Toxion's going to receive it and return it right back. Toxion's one of my favorite Thunder Elestrals inside of the deck, allowing you to play some interesting pressure on your opponent. It's not exactly a good going first card, but I'm curious to see if it's going to stick on the board a little bit longer. It is very cryoblastable and also might be subject to a destruction card. Let's go for a Nectar of the Gods once again, trading out those 2 spirits for 2 cards off the top, trying to get into maybe a little more removal. A Cryoblast would be killer here. Go for a Verituka! I love this card, the Wind Nexus form of a Veritaqua that we saw inside of base set 1. Verituka is the little bird that could, allowing you to trade attacks blow for attack position Elestrals that you have the same amount of enchanting spirits on. Verituka is going to swing in on the Toxion, and down goes the Toxion. That big 4 body and little 2 defense is not going to matter much when Verituka can just swing over. This is going to put a Hazy Flame, or going to put a... This is going to put a Hazy inside of an interesting position. He's going to go and expend a spirit to draw here, potentially signaling an extra Arcolith. Then pass back to DistantCoder. He's going to go for a Nectar of the God number 2, deep digging into the deck. I guess you're kind of okay with the spirit difference here. Again, it's a very comfortable 4, and you're going to be able to heal those back with things like Nemesail if you really want to. Gonna go for a Aeolus here once again, going to charge this thing up with 4, think about 5th. thinking about a 4, 5, he's gonna go for 5. After a tough decision, gonna go and bring himself back down to, again, half the spirit differential to his opponent. DistantCoder's gonna disenchant 2 to search from the deck, and Exaltair getting this loop off early or potentially threatening it inside of the late game. Let's see what he decides to do. A defensive is an Exaltair, super smart. Now that you are on the read that Arcalith could be touching down at any moment, Exaltair can hit the board here, Nexus comfortably, and also stack Verituka to take care of any 2-drop Elestrals that might be coming your way. Gonna burn for 2 damage here, and you might as well let that through because an extra Gorgon's Gaze, what's that gonna really do? Verituka's gonna swing in for 2 extra damage. This is a very expensive turn, and DistantCoder's looking just to close the gap here inside of this game too. Looks like those 2 spirits are also gonna be just a-okay fine. We have a Frost and a Lunar coming down. Expending those from the spirit deck. Hazy's gonna scoop them up. Put into an Underworld, draw for turn. Let's see what we can handle here. Hazy's gonna go ahead and go for an Earthquake, throwing that onto the board. Go ahead and play that animation. Gonna take care of that Exaltair, which is going to alleviate a big headache if that thing was able to stick around for much longer. Again, the recurring value of that Exaltair is pretty strong. And gonna go here for an Eddy. This thing is going to be Tsunami immune, which is very, very strong, and going to be able to take care of this Verituka, excuse me, very easily. Eddy's gonna hit the board, going to go ahead and turn the Verituka to defense, gonna set 1 card face down. And will this Eddy, this Edward, connect into this Verituka? Looks like they're thinking long and hard about this one. Those 2 sets better be something, but it looks like Verituka goes down. That was a very costly turn for DistantCoder to lose. The entire board is gone, but potentially we can see a comeback here with this Cryoblast. Again, the big strong arms of Eddy at a 4, but the little tiny booty at a 1 is very susceptible to cards like Cryoblast, which is going to be able to take care of that pretty easily and spirit efficiently. Nemasail is a great card to bring out here. Going to go ahead and heal back 2 Wind Spirits from the Underworld. Again, really trying to maintain some advantage, and now you're sitting at a little bit of a more comfortable spot if you're DistantCoder here. Gonna go ahead and disenchant 2 from the Aeolus to search out another card. What could it be? A second Nemasail. We're seeing a second Nemasail being searched out here, potentially wanting to see if this card gets removed to just allow himself to breathe a little bit on the next turn. Gonna go ahead and take 1 damage. Hazy's going to expend a Thunder Spirit off this attack. Now you're only sitting at a 2 spirit difference here. I keep on mentioning the spirits because it is quite important inside this matchup, as it really anything could be the major difference here. And if you're DistantCoder, you're constantly calculating if every single card is going to be able to net you spirits or you're going to be just losing. Gonna go out for an Elechick here, a set 1, searching out a Zeus for Hazy. And gonna go ahead and drop a Mount Olympus. Are we going to see a race to the top come down from the Thunder Pantheon? It looks like we are. We're gonna see a race to the top coming in and destroying the Nemasail. Good thing DistantCoder searched that second Nemasail just to have in the backup. Looks like Elechick's going to go ahead and swing in with its hefty 5 body. DistantCoder's gonna allow that to connect a 7/7 spirits. We are even now. DistantCoder with that Nemasail in the back, but looks like Verituka is gonna come down, the little bird that could once again. Gonna be able to take care of this 5 big body from Elechick. Again, it's nice and simple if you have just all the removal in the world. Verituka's gonna try to punch in here. Bird into bird. Oh, it looks like Poison Tadero is gonna be cast on the cast of Verituka here. I think that's totally fine. That's kind of the one major advantage of a card like Verituka, is it plays very nicely around things like Poison Tadero. But if you're Hazy here, you might just not be comfortable allowing that thing to sit on the field for much longer. Now, Poison Tadero is going to pay out here, and that was a pretty expensive turn overall. You lost your Elechick, you lost 2 spirits off of the Poison Tadero, and now if you're DistantCoder, once again, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. Let's go ahead and draw for turn. He's gonna have a big play here. Maybe a Toxion again could come down. That threatens a little bit more of the spirits, but he's gonna go ahead and expend to draw. You're feeling great about that if you're DistantCoder. Wow, oh wow, bringing that spirit differential back down. At one point in time, we were at half, and looks like we're going to be increasing that just a little bit more. We're just gonna go ahead and heal back 3 of the Lycanus Wind Spirits from the Underworld with an Ambrosia. Gonna bring back to 8. Speaking of half, looks like Hazy now is in the position that Coder was not too long ago. Not feeling too comfortable about this. And a Toxic Swarm, I love this card. DistantCoder says, if you can do it to me, I'll do it to you. Toxic Swarm, the Nexus version of Toxion. Gonna burn Hazy for 1 and swing in for 1 damage. Again, a great card to help play around counter runes. Doesn't feel particularly good into things like PTA, into Shield. Even Gorgons feels awful to hit this card in. So if this card sticks around for too long, that can be quite detrimental. Gonna go for an Ambrosia here from Hazy in the Thunder Pantheon. Gonna try to heal back more Thunder Spirits to try to hang on for just a little bit. Again, DistantCoder's 7 Spirits to Hazy's 1, soon to be 4. And a Frost Spirit coming back from the Underworld. Looks like we might see a Cryoblast come down. Again, each player here has a lot of responses for their opponent's decks. Looks like they did build well into this matchup. Let's see what happens. Let's see, Coder's anticipating a Cryoblast here from that Frost Spirit. But it looks instead we're gonna go for a Zeus. A 2 Zeus, seeing the stone statue Zeus coming down. One of my favorite artworks for Zeus at the moment. It looks quite beautiful. Let's see, we got a Elestral. It's a Quackle! The little duck that could. Speaking of healers, this is one of the best healers inside of the Thunder deck, inside the Thunder game plan, allowing you to heal back for 3 effectively extra copies of Ambrosia for your strategy. Now you're feeling pretty decent about that. Erase the Top also is now live, and the Zeus can bring in the Toxion, and Quackle can hit over. Quackle goes from a defensive threat to an offensive threat now with the Zeus. Do we see like a Shield of Achilles come down? Or is this Toxic Swarm meeting its demise? We have a Shield of Achilles! Ooh, that might be dangerous. Now if you're DistantCoder, you actually feel really strong here. Again, with only 4 spirits in Hazy's possession, you can re-enchant the Toxic Swarm, and now those 3 spirits that you healed back are ultimately all gone. Or, even better, if you have an Exaltair here, you can Nexus and end the game on the spot. And Ambrosia comes down, he's gonna heal back 3 more spirits. Maybe not having enough wind to re-enchant this Toxion? Not exactly sure. Go for 3 of the Lycanus Wind Spirits here. Put himself out to a nice and comfortable 7 spirits. Gonna go ahead and cast out an Aeolus. There comes down the Aeolus, slapping down for just 3. And gonna disenchant 2 from this Aeolus to go ahead and search from the deck and add to the hand. What will it be? What will it be? A lot of things inside of the Wind toolbox that would be beneficial here. And of course, it's Exaltair. Coder's looking to end and close the game right now. There's not a whole lot of cards that can really do it on Hazy's side here. Exaltair is gonna come down. Exaltair's Nexus. Love this combination here. This is the Wind Nexus loop. We got Toxic Swarm burning for 1, Exaltair burning for 2. That's gonna be 3 spirits. And look, there's 6 spirits on the board representing. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be a game 2 for DistantCoder. We're going to a game 3 inside of this clash. This is quite exciting. Both games down to the wire here. We are going to game 3. Like I said, we're diving into the deep end here for the first round of this Elestriad season. Looks like it's gonna be Hazy's go. We're gonna set 1 card face down and gonna go off with a Toxion again. Is this a replay? Looks like it's gonna go ahead and burn DistantCoder for 1. Potentially trying to lead here to establish some early advantage and potentially an Altar of Stars play to help burn for some additional advantage. The Mount Olympus here is going to make sure Toxion does not get cryoblasted, but does make sure that Toxion might meet a demise from a resting on your laurels, newly limited. Verituka might also do it, the little bird that could, once again getting some mileage out of this tropical being. Gonna come down here, gonna set 1 card in the back row, and Verituka's gonna try to hit into this Toxion. Let's see what we got. Any response here. Maybe a Gorgon's Gaze just to maintain some advantage. Looks like Owloon's gonna come down with an Altar of Stars. Gonna go ahead and move this Mount Olympus spirit onto the Toxion. Gonna burn DistantCoder for 1 and turn the Verituka to defense. This is a difficult position if you're DistantCoder, because now you don't really have the same amount of pressure that you would before, and this Toxion can accrue some more advantage as well. Though a Shield of Achilles might also be pretty beneficial here. Elichik is going to hit the field, going to go ahead and search off that Zeus, potentially setting up for another Altar of Stars if available. As well, just a nice and good advantage tool for the Thunder Pantheon here. Again, that stone statue Zeus is quite beautiful. Gonna go ahead and set 1 from Hazy, gonna go ahead and swing over this Verituka, some bird on bird rivalry. Verituka goes down and Toxion trying to swing in for 2. Do we see a Shield of Achilles? Just to kind of remove the threat, and you're taking the 2 spirits anyways, you might as well otherwise. Looks like those two are going to be clean and connect. This Toxion has got some mileage out of it as well. Let's see if DistantCoder has a response for a draw for turn. Again, a Cryoblast off the top would be good, but a Resting on Your Laurels. We called it out earlier. It's going to take out the Elechick here because Toxion does have more Enchanting Spirits on it. And let's see, we have a Galax Air coming down from DistantCoder here. A lot of removal and a lot of 1-for-1 trades here from these two casters. Galax is going to swap the attack and defense of Toxion. The big body turns into a tiny little hands. Galaxy is going to have just enough attack to get over, and we have a water Elechick to potentially play around a Tsunami here. Hazy wants to make sure this Galax Air goes down this turn. It's a little bit scary, but Elechick's going to go ahead and swing over. DistantCoder says, yeah, no problem. Go ahead and pass back. These casters are going, God, it's a Verituga. I can't even finish my thought. They're going band for band, card for card. Toxion into Verituga into Rest on Your Laurels, Elechick into Galax Air into Toxion, and now we have an Eddy into this Verituga. Can these two be stopped? Holy, I have to catch my breath every now and again. Looks like this Eddy's going to turn this Verituga to defense position. We see a Shield of Achilles come down, potentially taking away the tempo from TCGDome. We do see this Shield of Achilles come down, and now I can finally take a breath and watch as this clash plays out. So, not really the best play to make there in some cases, as Eddy can oftentimes threaten back on cast again, but maybe DistantCoder is looking to go for an Exaltair loop again, but opting to expend to draw. Potentially the hand is a little bit weaker than we thought. Again, 9 spirits left to TCGDome's 14. Verituga's going to switch to attack position and try to swing in for just 1 bit of damage. You're in pretty comfortable position, actually, if you're Hazy here. Got 13 to 9. That's a 4 spirit difference. Not too bad. We see a Toxion come down here. I love to see a Toxion here in this type of position. It's not only going to be able to threaten the Verituga and potentially the back row, but also burn DistantCoder down for just 1 additional. Every spirit counts here inside this matchup. And let's see what happens here. We have a Mount Olympus, home field advantage. Do we see a Race to the Top or maybe potentially an Altar here? No, we have Toxion just going in with its 5 big body into this Verituga. Verituga is going to be going down. And now passing back to DistantCoder is going to draw off the top. Let's see what we can do here. Again, a Cryoblast will not be enough, and we did see that Resting on Your Laurels already go, so an Earthquake is probably the only potential removal, except for this Boombat. Boombat will be trading here. Disenchant on the Boombat for Toxion. There's no Gorgon's Gaze like in the first game. It looks like now we are just trying to trade 1-for-1, hoping to put TCGDome on an expend to draw turn, potentially to take back tempo. This is quite insane. Again, both these casters changing the pace up on each other left and right. I love to see it with both the removal from DistantCoder and also from Hazy here. Elestral per Elestral, card for card. Let's see a Quackle come down. This is actually a very, very advantageous play from TCGDome, allowing you to make the Spirit differential a little bit less comfortable for DistantCoder. Again, almost half here, and trying to bring it down to a little bit less than half with this Quackle. And now Quackle is going to be a really nice card here because it is now going to make sure that the Race to the Top does hit over most of the Wind Elestrals inside DistantCoder's deck. Potentially, too, you can set up for an Ascension play into the Arclit, but a Nemasail is going to come down. Nemasail is really interesting here because it's not going to be quite big enough to hit over this Quackle. That Mount Olympus is making this little duck quite buff. But Nemasail is going to heal back too, which is potentially all the thing that it needs to do. And are we going to see a trade? DistantCoder is going to propose a trade. Again, trying to just say, hey, better have it or expend to draw. I'm going to heal up and try to go in every single turn. Looks like pass back to TCGDome. We are just slinging cards left and right. And let's see what happens. Do we see a card come down? Yes, we do. It's going to be a Jolton. Wow, if you're DistantCoder here, you are just absolutely not okay with seeing a Jolton come in here. Again, that's going to reinforce this Mount Olympus and also thin out the deck just a little bit. Plus, that's a big body and a 5. You better have some removal there. So one thing about DistantCoder strategy is that I think that if you just are able to place your opponent on better have Elestrals, then you can maybe walk out okay with healing. But now DistantCoder is thinking about taking a Spirit here. It's going to be 6 to 12. Again, we are at half. I cannot believe this game is like this so far. It looks like it is just within reach for TCGDome in this game 3. But Verituka is going to go ahead and trade out for the Jolton. They are going once again card for card. I cannot believe it. Call and response for each of these casters. DistantCoder puts his hands up. He's hoping and praying for an expend to draw play here. Potentially from TCGDome signaling an Arcolith as well. It looks like Zeus is going to come down. Flipping up the Zeus from the back row is quite interesting. Let's see what kind of play we have here, potentially signaling an altar for that back row. DistantCoder at 5 spirits to Hazy's 10. I would say this is cutting it close, but this is not close at all. DistantCoder has quite the mountain to climb, quite the Mount Olympus to climb, if you will. And a Thunder Eddy, Thedward. Thunder Eddy is going to be boosted by his Mount Olympus, making it a 5-2, and maybe signaling that there's not a lot of water spirits inside the spirit deck for Hazy. Gonna try to swing on this Verituka here. DistantCoder's thinking as hard as possible, trying to see if this is going to go down and connect. It looks like it does. Let's see what DistantCoder has here. It looks like the tempo is back inside of Hazy's favor. 9 spirits to 5. It's not too crazy, but DistantCoder's going to close the gap with an Ambrosia. Healing back 3 more spirits. We have a wind and 2 earth. You know exactly what time it is, baby. Go ahead and get the animation ready. Looks like DistantCoder's going to look to slap down with those 2 earth spirits here. Once again, trading card for card on that Eddy. An Earthquake. Big Tech Taurus shocking the earth below and destroying this 5-2 Eddy. Destroying that card, and DistantCoder here has an opportunity to gain some tempo back with a Nemesail, which is absolutely what he needed there. Look at this spirit differential slowly closing for DistantCoder. Once upon a time, half, but now we are back up to a nice and pretty comfortable 6. You don't feel too bad about that. That's a counter rune to play, and if you're Hazy, then that Altar of Stars that potentially is back there is burning a hole in your counter rune row. That Earthquake doesn't feel particularly good from Coder's end, having to expend, or rather cast with 2 spirits there, but hey, maybe that's all you need. Looks like Nemesail is going to connect here for 1 and pass back to Hazy. He's going to draw for turn. Let's see if he has an answer to this Nemesail. These 2 casters have been back and forth. The hands are up once again from DistantCoder, hoping and praying for an expend to draw. It looks like he gets it. An expend to draw off the top of TCGDome. It looks like he's got no other options. Again, potentially signaling an Arcolith, but Kevin is more than happy to play around with that. Gonna go ahead and draw. And now we are at 7 to 6 spirits. I don't even know if you feel particularly comfortable expanding to draw there, but maybe you have no other options. Thunder might just be bricked up on removal and counter runes. All right, Quackle's gonna come down here, gonna go ahead and try to heal back 3 spirits from DistantCoder. He said, if you're playing Thunder, I'm playing Thunder too. And Mount Olympus is now boosting this Quackle, making it a 3-4 body, a defensive threat for DistantCoder. So, looks like now we are in the driver's seat once again for DistantCoder for 8 spirits to 7 spirits against Hazy. And wow, oh wow, we are in a heal matchup. He's playing on the Arcolith here, having this Quackle in defense, not trying to take it too fast, again, which leads me to leave this back row here that he's been sitting on for quite a while. Might be nothing. It could be a bluff, but we'll have to see. Nemesail's gonna swing in for 1 and connect. Now Hazy is down to 6 spirits to 8 spirits from DistantCoder. This game 3 is going down to the absolute wire. Gonna go with an Astro Rabbit, which could be pretty beneficial here, digging him into some Ambrosias, some more Quackles, potentially some removal that Hazy is desperately needing. Otherwise, it's gonna be a nice big body to stall and or erase the top target. That'll be really nice to take care of some of DistantCoder's extra Elestrals. Let's see what we can do here. We're going to go ahead and set 1 card and pass back to DistantCoder. DistantCoder is going to draw for turn. DistantCoder is going to reach for the spirit deck and maybe aim to re-enchant this Nemesail. And go ahead and just take the slow advantage here. Going to say, hey, you know, I have all the time in the world. I have all the time in the world here. We've been sitting here for, dear God, close to 40 minutes now. And so we just have to sit and wait. I'll draw into my removal sooner than later. Looks like a Nemesail is going to be re-enchanted. Heal back 2 for a 9. Spirits from DistantCoder to Hazy's 5. Set 1, pass back to Hazy. Hazy's going to draw for turn. Let's see what comes down from Hazy here. He does have the Zeus potentially to play some cards, but we have a Quackle! Oh, we are just healing spirits left and right from these two casters. A little more effectively maybe for Hazy here. We have Poison Tipped Arrow from DistantCoder call and response once again. You have to stop doing this. Oh my gosh. So we have Quackle here healing back those 3 spirits, and Quackle is still potentially an offensive threat with the Zeus on the board. And now the spirit count is practically even, an 8 spirit to 7 count here. Both these Nemasail and the Quackle are going to be up for destruction from this Quackle, potentially hitting the board. Let's see what Hazy decides to do. Hazy's thinking about the play here. 3 counter runes potentially set back there. You might be feeling comfortable. Now Quackle is PTA'd, so he's gonna have to Zeus down potentially the Nemasail. And gonna swing over the Nemasail, try to take care of those 2 spirits and not allow for another re-enchantment or an Exaltair to hit the board. Quackle's going to be destroyed here by the Poison Tipped Arrow. We are dead even at 7 to 7 spirits. Gonna pass back to DistantCoder here. DistantCoder is gonna expend to draw. Oh, now we have Hazy back in the lead, 7 spirits to 6 spirits. Quackle on board as a defensive threat, setting 1 card face down. Let's see what Hazy has up his sleeve. He's going to disenchant from the Zeus to bring down that Quackle, potentially allowing this Astrabbit to hit over as now an offensive threat with this Mount Olympus. And if you're DistantCoder here, you don't really want to Shield of Achilles here. Again, that is going to leave your Spirit Differential down. But now we have a Cryoblast. Cryoblast is going to take out the Quackle. Clear board for Hazy here, 6 to 6 spirits. Call and response once again. This Quackle goes down, and now what we see is an Ambrosia! An Ambrosia, we're healing back, dear Zeus! These 2 casters are quite legitimately going removal for removal, Elestral for Elestral, back row for back row, and now heal for heal with the Quackles, Ambrosias, and the Nemasails. Looks like a Floormine Spirit's going to be coming down, and 2 Zaptors, maybe signaling another Cryoblast to potentially threaten another card on the board. This has been an exciting match here, and it looks like now Hazy is back up to 8 spirits inside of this heal stall matchup. This is one of these types of scenarios where you just want to be up in spirits and force DistantCoder to expend more. But DistantCoder is playing very patiently here. It looks like Rabbit's going to be re-enchanted from Hazy here to try to dig into, once again, more copies of Ambrosia, more copies of Quackle, and potentially some extra cards to help him get on. Maybe a copy of Arcalith to ascend in to hit in for some big damage. Not exactly sure. But a Shield of Achilles is going to meet Astrabbit's attack here. Astrabbit's going to be bouncing back to hand, and DistantCoder said, if I'm going to be taking 2 spirits, I might as well get rid of this bunny. Gonna bounce that card back to hand and pass back to DistantCoder, 4 to 7 spirits. You're feeling pretty comfortable with this. He's gonna pull a rabbit out of his own hat. Gonna enchant that and say, I have now a big body defender and also a thunder card of my own. DistantCoder's feeling pretty good here. There's no counter rune that's gonna feel great to hit this with. Let's see what Hazy has. He looks like he's reaching for his back row, but he looks like he's going for a Poison Tipped Arrow. Holy, can you guys let an Elestral stick for once? All right, we have Astrabbit going down to 1 attack because of the Mount Olympus. So this Poison Tipped Arrow is now going to be mad, not a lot of value, but disregard what I just said. DistantCoder is now healing back up with an Ambrosia, back up to 5 spirits now. I can't even tell how many spirits that they've both healed inside of this match. DistantCoder has probably healed close to over 20 spirits now. Rabbit's gonna swing in for 1, bringing Hazy down to 5 spirits, and then he's going to pay out the PTA for destroying this rabbit. You know, now spirit count's gonna be a 4 to 5 spirit count, I believe. Oh my, we have so much Elestrals left to play, and this has been neck and neck, card v card. Let's see what TCGDome does. Hazy looking at an open board here, 5 spirits left with 4 spirits of his own. Let's see what comes down here. Is it that Astrabbit again? It will be the Astrabbit going to be digging into more cards, but a Poison Tipped Arrow, you guys have to stop. Poison Tipped Arrow is going to bring Astrabbit down to a 1, which again is going to be very expensive for DistantCoder here, as this Mount Olympus will be able to boost the rabbit to do a little bit of chip damage. Rabbit's going to swing in for just 1. DistantCoder is down to 3 spirits. He's going to pay the PTA, bringing him down to just 2 spirits to Hazy's 3 spirits. Will we see the end of the game right here, or does DistantCoder have another trick up his sleeve? It looks like it's a Quackle. Dear Aeolus, you have to stop healing. Free me from this commentator's prison. Oh my God. Or oh my Poseidon. I can't take it. This Quackle's gonna hit in for a little bit of damage. It is a 4-3 spirit differential. Let's see what Hazy decides to do. Any response here, he's going to expend the Floor Mine, which is probably a good choice here, considering that Cryoblast is not going to save him inside of this matchup. That Quackle has a large 4 defense booty with this Mount Olympus out. Now again, a race to the top here would be killer, or if they had another attacking Elestral. Looks like another Elestral is gonna come down, and it's a rabbit again. He's gonna stall out for just a little more time. Do we see another PTA from DistantCoder? DistantCoder's hands on the head. He's looking for it. Maybe an Ambrosia off the top would be absolutely killer, but 4 spirits to 1 spirit. He can maybe sit on this rabbit. It looks like he's going to do so. He's going to be passing back to DistantCoder. DistantCoder has 4 spirits left to Hazy's 1. Gonna re-enchant the Quackle with a Wind Spirit and switch it to defense position. It looks like this is signaling the end of the game, potentially putting Hazy on better habit, or DistantCoder is going to drop down an Exaltair. Let's see what Hazy has here. As he draws, he's going to slap down an Elestrals, which is a 5 body. That's just enough to get over the Quackle. Are we going to see this Astrabbit go to attack to try to put DistantCoder on better habit with 3 spirits left? Elestrals is going to swing into the Quackle, but not the Astrabbit to attack. Oh no! Quackle goes down, but DistantCoder has just enough spirits here to potentially put on some pressure. 0 spirits from TCGDome. Gonna go for an Ambrosia. Stop healing! Stop healing! Oh my God! You have to be stopped. 3 spirits here with a Cryoblast potentially in hand, going back up to 5 spirits here. And Cryoblast was the other set face down card, destroying that Elechick, potentially trying to save himself from an Altar of Stars play. Nemesail is gonna heal again. Stop. What? That has to be like 40 spirits at this point. You're back up to 5 spirits here. Nemesail is gonna come down. He's gonna pass back to TCGDome. TCG's got to draw something good, an Ambrosia off the top or something to stay inside of this clash. It's gonna pass it back to DistantCoder. DistantCoder's gonna draw here, and he's looking comfortable. Look at this, an Exaltair drops down for the game. Exaltair has an opportunity to just burn for 2, but it looks like he's gonna go for Aeolus. No, you can heal and burn here. This is the Nexus loop. I cannot believe it. DistantCoder's gonna enchant they're gonna Nexus with the Exaltair, gonna burn TCGDome for 2. Hazy goes down in the most insane game 3 we've ever seen. I'm going to bed. Oh my God. DistantCoder, you have to stop. You have to stop. Oh no. That was probably one of the most nail-biting game 3s of Elestrals I've ever seen before. Both casters doing their absolute very best to stay in those games. Every single choice matters. Every single play was absolutely correct, and it just kind of came down to the fact that Wind was able to heal back up spirits to, I want to say up to maybe like 30 spirits in that game, and Hazy, not a slouch himself either, using those Quackles and Ambrosias to advantage. But what an exciting and an electrifying game 3 there inside of this epic clash. And DistantCoder for the Win Pantheon moves on to the next round, and I'm excited to see what's more left. My heart can't take it. If your guys' heart is also pounding and racing with adrenaline, make sure to subscribe to the Elestrals channel to see more of this Elestriad Season 3, and comment down below who you're excited to see and what you guys thought of this clash. And while you're down there, make sure to go ahead and check out the Elestrals Clash Kickstarter. It is now currently going on, and if you guys are backing this Kickstarter to one of the most highly anticipated TCG simulators of all time, I would say. But with that being said, I've been Swoleax, you've been great, and thank you so much for watching today's clash. Make sure to stay tuned for more of Elestriad Season 3 and more heart-racing heal stall action. That was crazy. All right, good night, everyone.